Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I tell you, we got an incredible show coming your way today. We got this young lady on board on the show today that's going to talk about how we stay calm and avoid being upset. And I think we all need to understand that because that's what is required. So I'm looking forward to the show today. Michelle, how you doing today? How you doing?
I'm doing great. This is a great topic. There's so much going on in the world today, and it can apply to any situation in life. It can apply to, what's going on in your personal life. It can apply to what's going on in the world. So we're really excited to hear from this amazing guest and also discuss her book, and she can go over the ways on how to achieve this.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about her book and all the things that she is doing. But most importantly, it's like I said, this topic. But what I want to do is lock the radio, television, all the live streaming platforms in at the same time. So we're going to do that in about 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
So are you still there, Todd?
Yes, sir. We're about to go prime time here. You ready? You got your bags of popcorn? We're all ready to go here?
We're ready to go prime time.
All right, I'm switching over. We're starting in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Dennis Prager on an unforgettable Bible cruise to the Caribbean, November 29th to December 8th, 2024. Imagine 9 days of basking in the sun, surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. Amid profound conversations, I'll share about the Bible and my insights into current events in a way that I believe you will really enjoy. Secure your spot on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure by calling 855-565-5519 or booking online at PragerBibleCruise.com.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
It's your life. It's your life. Hello, welcome to It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We got a fantastic show coming your way today. We got this fantastic guest that's going to share a lot of things, which is going to help us understand how we can stay calm and how we can avoid being upset. I mean, because a lot of times we get upset, Michelle, over things that we have no control over. And we walk around pissed off, if that's what you want to call it, mad at the world, pointing the finger and pointing blame. We ain't got time for that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, you're right. It's things that we can control. And there's so much in this topic. I mean, we went through the horrors of COVID, and people weren't able to control that. So it's not only what's going on, to say, on in your personal life, but how things in the world are affecting your personal life, which you don't have control over, and how you should handle it. So I said this topic can be applied to challenges in life and how do we address them. So again, this amazing guest is going to talk about 4 ways to go about that, and also the information detailed in her new book.
Looking forward to that. So I'll tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching us on, all you have to do is go to the comments, ask any question that you might have, or KCBQ, AM 1170 Answer, FM 96.1, the Answer in San Diego. You can call in at 1-888-344-1170. So Todd, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, I know it's an important one. We can get so stressed out on things, and we have the voices in our head sometimes can be negative. It was Pastor Swindoll that said, really, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. So we'll learn today how to react positively.
It's all about the attitude. It's all about the attitude. Michelle, can you do the honors and introduce the topic, introduce the purpose, and introduce this absolutely fantastic guest?
Oh, most definitely. So the title of today's show, audience, is 4 Ways to Stay Calm and Avoid Upset. And we're having a sit-down conversation with Karen Howard. She is the CEO and Executive Director of Organic and Natural Health Association. She's going to discuss create a word wall, reframe your reactions, set your mood, serve the 7 generations. I am amazed. I'm interested in all that, but the 7 generations is going to be very interesting when she gets to that point. So again, Karen Howard, with 4 decades of experience in healthcare policy, government relations, and organizational leadership, she is a visionary in advancing healthcare initiatives. She's the author of Upset is Optional, Say Goodbye to Unnecessary Suffering, March 2024 this year, focusing on strategies to manage stress and anxiety. So audience, please welcome to the show, Karen Howard.
How you doing, Karen?
I'm great. There's so much gratitude for what you guys do and for having me on. I'm truly honored.
It's an absolute pleasure having you on, especially to talk about this great topic because it needs to be discussed and we need to understand. So, Karen, besides what we got and what Michelle read in your bio, can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what makes you click, and why you're so passionate about your job?
It's the short version is I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, and I've been in Washington, D.C. all my adult life, but it sort of happened intentionally. From the time I was 13, I worked with handicapped children, and I did that all through high school, and during college, I was going to be a special ed teacher, and I was very passionate about the work. And then I spent a summer intern for my Congress in Washington, D.C., and it changed my life. So when I went back from that, I said to my advisor, would you rather have another burned out special ed teacher or a lawyer who's going to advocate for them? And he said, another burned out teacher. And I was like, I think I'm making the right choice. So that's basically how I got into it. And as I moved through my career, healthcare became really the dominant part of my story.
Wow. So who or what inspired you to focus on healthcare as an advocate and as healthcare, some of the issues and initiatives that are out there?
It's interesting in that, when I was sort of a technician kind of person on the Hill doing legislation and writing language, right, and fixing problems. And then when I left, I became a lobbyist. It's kind of the big transition that you hear often. But I stayed in health issues. And I ended up, long story short, getting heavily involved in the managed care industry as it growing and becoming what it is, which I don't know how you feel about managed care, but it's a little bit soul-sucking. And when 9/11 happened, I had 2 children living in Washington, D.C., a husband who was teaching across the river. I didn't know when I was going to be able to see him again, and 2 kids that were at school. if we hadn't left when we left to pick them up, I'm sure I would have found them today. So it really changed my entire outlook about what I wanted to do and be in the world. And I quit my job. And I ended up landing with the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians, which I couldn't spell nor did I know what it was. And it changed the way I felt about health and wellness and food. And that journey has not stopped from that point forward. But I've always lived in DC to do the work.
Well, let's talk about this topic, 4 ways to stay calm and avoid upset. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners why you came up with that topic and why it's so important?
One of the things that I did in part of my adventure around the world here was to go to an acupuncture school, not to learn how to be an acupuncturist, but to do something called transformative health, which meant being a healing presence in the world through words and actions. Very different concept. A lot of philosophy and history. But as my mentor, Bob Duggan, grew with the school and then left the school, it is the first acupuncture school on the East Coast. He took all of his work and boiled it down into 10 simple practices. And we all went to study with him to be apprentices and take this out into the world. And so the book in its essence has 10 practices in it that have become sort of my daily ritual, how I live, and how I wander through the world with all of the things that are going on to stay calm and be a healing force in the world instead of making myself sick, because that's what happens with upset.
So you mentioned acupuncture, and in doing that, I know you combine that with eating habits, rituals, or whatever that might mean. Can you talk a little bit more about the acupuncture side? Do you actually perform that yourself?
No, because I did not learn how to be an acupuncturist. I went to this other part of the school, and that's where I learned more about the philosophy behind acupuncture and what we would do is we would have a practice that we would do every 6 weeks. And it could be something like upset is optional. And you would have to document when you were upset, how it felt in your body, how you did the shift, and how you felt afterwards. And so I managed all of my teachings with sticky notes all over the place, in the car, on my mirrors. And that's the work that I really fell in love with in terms of being able to be a, quote, practitioner. My mentor, Bob, used to say, 90% of what happens in your body when you're physically ill is about your head making yourself sick, right? So he had patients that would come in for acupuncture who would learn that if they took care of themselves physically, their asthma symptoms would come back much more infrequently. And that, I think, is what took Bob into simplifying all the Chinese philosophy and Eastern culture into these simple practices that are in the book.
So staying calm. Have you did a lot of studies or on people? I'm talking about when they're in their worst upset mode, and how do you get them to calm down to be calm?
Oh, nothing like having to now adult children to remind you that upset is optional, Mom. They're great reminders to keep me in practice. But this is, I think, the trick to this. One of the things about the book is that you really do have to practice. You aren't going to innately do this every day and catch yourself without a level of awareness. So I would say one of the things that has always supported me and being able to get through a day, and I do live in DC, not always the easiest place to live, hardly ever the easiest place to live.
But I tell you what, hold it. We're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back. We're going to pick it up. We got a whole lot more. And I tell you what, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on and ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man,
really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Where is all the good news? Where's the helping hand? Where are all the smiles I used to see? They gotta be here somewhere. I think I'll take a look around. Maybe try to find some harmony. All the love we used to know, just too hard to find. Giving in to feelings of despair. The world we knew is upside down. Fears replacing love. No one's
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'll tell you, this guest that we got is already started educating us already, and I am so I'm off into this because I get upset, Michelle get upset, you get upset, and sometimes we don't know why we upset. So we got to learn how to stay calm. So want to pick it back up, Michelle. You got this one.
Thank you, James. Karen, a word wall. I love that. And I love the way you phrase that. Can you tell us what is a word wall and what does it entail as far as staying calm and avoid being upset? So I guess this is one of the 4 ways. Am I correct?
Yeah, it is one of the practices that's actually pretty handy to have. And like me, and you're at your computer all day long, sometimes it's just really great to put up these words sort of on sticky notes on the edge, just have them there as a reminder. And if you do start your day designing your mood, you're going to have some words that are going to come to you, like, how do I want my mood to be? And it could be peaceful. It could be calm. So those are great words for your word wall. Really good words. Like if you're going to put like hungry on your word wall, you want to eat all day, right? So it's kind of like if you put frustrated on your word wall, you're going to be frustrated. But if you have these other reframed approaches to how you want to be during that day, and if you set your mood in the morning, hopeful, generous, welcoming, if those are your words for the day and you're constantly reminding yourself of them, you're going to stay in your mood and your designed way of being much more successfully.
How important is it? I mean, I know you said a specific word, not specific words, but positive words. Can it be phrases as well, whether if it's a Bible scripture or maybe a poem or a line from a poem, things that uplift your mood and have your mind staying in a positive frame?
Absolutely. Affirmations are like, some people are so skilled at using them. My brain doesn't work in that long snippets. Like I mean, I need like, so one of the things I often do is I wear something around my wrist, and I'll just find myself flicking it on random occasion. And it reminds me that I have something I'm supposed to be thinking about. And if it's an affirmation that I am well versed in and can repeat very quickly, I will do that. More likely it's upset is optional for me, or finding my, am I peaceful? And with that, and I think this is a really important part of the teaching, with that is doing a body scan. Because it's not just that you're saying the words, right? It's that you're feeling how your body is in that moment. Because that's the root of all disease that's driven by upset. Suffering is going to happen. That is just part of life. But
Yes.
upset can be optional. And if you do a body scan and you're just checking through and your shoulders are up here and your stomach kind of tight, or whatever your triggers that you'll learn if you start to pay attention are, that those are the kinds of things that where you go, I got to let it go. And that's, you know, and where is that mood that I designed? What is that word wall word that I need to go to?
You know, life is, you know, trials and tribulations happen every day in life, especially, you know, you see what's going on in the news, you know, whether it's your local news or the world news or international news. So a person viewing this, they know what's going on. How do they find or put up a positive, whether it's an affirmation or a word that is positive despite what they see and what they hear, what's going on in the world?
It's kind of a combination of practices at that point, really. So you've got a word. Let's say it's just peaceful. Like that was my mentor's word every single day, to be peaceful. And if you're doing that check-in, you're watching the national news or the local news, and you're doing that check-in and it's like, no peace here. How do you bring yourself back, right? So it's like that stop, check in, breathe. So that is a huge, and honestly, in the beginning, you may have to do that 30 times a day, or just in one day, you know, in an hour, you could find yourself. At some point, you're going to want to go, I think I need to remove myself from this. Now, that may not be possible at the dinner table, but in other circumstances, you can actually remove yourself from that. The key is actually knowing where it is in your body that you feel it and being able to reframe and adjust that.
So before we talk about reframing, you know, we're not saying, or you're not saying to be totally oblivious what's going on as far as denial of realistic things in the world or within your life. It's about finding that peaceful, whether affirmational word that changes your mindset, even though you know realistically what is truly going on, whether it's your surroundings or whether it's in the world. Is that a fair statement?
It's very fair. I mean, I have words that I tend to go to that are not very useful for my health. Mm-hmm. And they could be demented. It comes up now and then for me. And so I will literally find a fantasy kind of word to, like, if I start to say that, I'll just make up a word, like, you know, or I'll go to defeatable, you know, but, you know, or Disney, just something to break it, you know, just a word that just flips it. And I have sort of a set sort of guideline about those kinds of words that I use. And that's really helpful, because then, and also being an observer, if you can step back, and this kind of requires that you are an observer, because one, you're observing yourself most importantly, because you really do know where you need to know where you feel this in your body. And then when you feel that, you can, I'm an observer now. I'm observing what's happening in my body, and I can be an observer to whatever the incident is that is distracting me or making me upset. And it can be anything. So, you know, I know that when we say joyful things, or we, you know, we go to wedding, we cry. So you can't tell me that happy things don't make you feel a certain way inside. So do sad and upsetting things.
Most definitely. You know, for me, it could, like I said, it depends on the person. It could be a word or it could be a picture. Me, I like looking at puppies. That puts a smile on my face. Or the other day, I saw a Tweety bird in Sylvester, and I just started laughing. I'm like, oh, if only it was a bird that looked like Tweety. But
So imagine what if you're watching the news or whatever it is, and you're like Tweety bird, just to think. I mean, it sounds silly, but it really does have an impact.
Well, let's talk about, I know we're going in a couple of minutes, we're getting ready to take a break, but let's talk about number 2, reframing your reactions. Can you tell the audience why this is important? And this is one of my favorite, well, this is James's, one of his favorite words, reactions, react, and he'll explain a little bit more to you. But why is that so important, reframing your reactions?
So life is messy, and it's always going to be messy. But the reality is that it doesn't have to be mad. You know, you can frame this to live with something. You can pick, you can take a larger mind view of it than a small mind. And there's a story about me and my relationship with my mother that's a really good example of that goes over and over time. And how could I be at peace with something that was so upsetting for such a huge portion of my life? So I chose a larger story. I chose to make a bigger story about it, because we all live in story, but we're dealing with phenomena. So keep reframing that into a bigger story is a huge component of that. And honestly, when you're that upset, ask yourself this question: if I died right now, would it be worth it? That's reframing.
That is reframing. And what Michelle was saying was, there's a couple ways that you can look at things when you are presented with a situation. And you could either create, meaning that take the time to think about how you're going to respond, or you react. Most of the time when you react, you find yourself in trouble because you make a quick decision that if you would have thought about it for a little bit, you probably would have came up with a different answer. And by the way, create and react, they got the same letters in it. So it means opposite things. Yeah. So, but a lot of people don't know that. But yes.
Good call on that one.
We're going to get ready to take another break, but we're going to come back. We're going to pick it up. I want to talk about your book when we get back. I want to talk about all the things that you got in there. And I want all the teachings that you got. And I'm sure the audience want to hear about that as well. So we're going to take a station break. And wherever you're watching us at or listening to us on, if you're watching us on over 65 platforms, all you have to do is just go to the comments. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Or you can pick up that phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Country boy.
We live in a world today that people don't even care about how people see them. Don't realize that we can affect an entire generation and build our character. But you gotta do it with these 4 C's. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. It's the 4 C's. It's the 4 C's. In this life you are gonna grow, but there's things in this world that you gotta know. To be the best that you can be, you wanna grow real big into a strong tree. To be who you were created to be, the one who's gonna leave a legacy is you. But you got to have these 4 C's. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. Create, collaborate, then you commit with
book Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by Dr. James Cooley on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and my guest here, Karen Howard, is educating us and teaching us on how to reframe, on how to just calm down. And I got a comment from Billy Harper, one of my best friends and my best friend at work. He said he used the 90-second rule. Not sure what that is. Do you know what the 90-second rule is, Karen?
I'm going to guess that if you're something has triggered you, you're not going to say anything for a full 90 seconds, which is a really long time. you know better than anybody, 90 seconds is a long time. That's my guess.
And the 90 seconds, I guess, will give you an opportunity to rethink and reframe your thoughts. I'm assuming that's what that is.
So my story of reframing, the recent one that's not in the book is, it's not a great name to have these days, this name Karen. And I was literally losing my mind. And I would, I work out, I do a boot camp and some avid exercise, and I'd be working out with weights and nothing was working. And I was on a run and I said, I got to reframe this. And so I changed it from basic old Karen to caring. And I have a niece who is a graphic artist and did a logo for me that says, I'm caring, Karen. It's like so brilliant what she did. And I was like, I could breathe again. But it took a lot longer than 90 seconds for me to come to that conclusion. It was more like, 90 hours.
So I know we still talking about reframing, but what are some practical tips for reframing and kind of getting rid of the negative emotions and opening up to bring a different perspective in your mindset so that you're able to get back on track and able to push that negative energy away?
And I think part of when I think about reframing, I often think about it being situational. But the reality is some of our situations are not short term. Some of them are really long term. So it is kind of a commitment to, and this is the thing about these practices, they're also interwoven, that they really do beautifully work with one another. So in a situation, if you're estranged from a member of the family, which I can speak to with pretty good authority, it can take some time and you need to be patient and gentle with yourself. And as you're doing that, remember that you also must be patient and gentle with the person that is in your life creating this havoc and the people around you are having to listen to you. So I think it's that level of awareness about self and about understanding that when you are doing this, you are spewing, you are throwing up on people with words. And that's where you need to really be careful about the words that you choose. I mean, because they really do have enormous impact. We know that with kids growing up and the things that we shouldn't say that we sometimes do, and people get hurt. So I think there's just it's a combination of how you listen. Don't be a passive listener. Be a really active listener. Ask into their conversation. Don't wait for your opportunity to respond. So these are some of the other practices. Yeah.
I like that because, just like the old saying, look, listen, and learn. And, as long as you're learning from these things, it formulates the mindset on positive things, I believe. So how can focusing on actionable steps to take improve the situation as well as foster a more positive and proactive attitude? And we ain't talked about attitude yet, but attitude, just like I say, attitude will make or break you. So it's formulating the right attitude about anything or any situation that you might run into. If you can focus on the right attitude, and not, and just like I mentioned to you a few minutes ago about react. You're gonna do something. You want to hit somebody. You want to say something, and once it comes out, when you say something or you do those things, you can't take it back. You mentioned a minute ago about certain things that people say, especially to kids or whatever. I can remember a lot of things that was said to me, uh, and I still remember the day, and it wasn't good. But I could have, reacted or did certain things. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, I'm guessing that you probably had guides around you who wouldn't let you fall to that, we could call it victimhood, right? So there are people strong enough around you who were able to reframe your vision of who you are. And so I think in large part, it's about being very deliberate in the day. Do not wake up accidentally and expect that your day is going to go as according to plan. Figure out who you want to be in the world. Start your day there, and then figure out how to remind yourself that that's what you want to do all day long. Make that commitment to yourself. Find that way to remind yourself, whatever it is. I mean, screensavers are great. Am I being peaceful today across your screen? And then when you don't notice it, change it. Lipstick on your mirror in the morning. Be bold, be innovative. I mean, think about all the angry drivers, James. And I have a friend who has cured herself of road rage, who would just honk at any sort of what was termed egregious driving, right? So the ability to feel it and stop it before it just happens is part of the teaching.
You said she cured herself from road rage. I mean, I mean, every time it was a haunt or whatever to try to get back, and a lot of people think that, I guess, to make them feel good at that time. But
they think they're right. They know they're right. So they're going to make sure the rest of the world knows they're right. What do you gain from that? All you gain is driving like this, as tight can be. You don't gain anything. You don't even get ahead of the person. You're still driving behind him, or you're breaking the law to not drive behind him. So it's that upset is optional. It truly is optional. The question is how are you going to move through the day, and how are you going to remind yourself that you keep that calm?
One of the steps you talk about is mood setting. What do you mean by that?
Design your day, design your mood every single day, even if it's the same thing every day. Before your feet hit the floor, lay in bed and pick a mood. You're going to pick a mood where you're angry? No, you're never going to do that. Are you going to pick a mood where you go, okay, I want my day to be peaceful? Or maybe you're doing it when you're walking the dogs. Or maybe you do it in the car. But design your mood and figure out your reminders to keep you in your mood, because you're going to slip out of that mood. Things are going to happen. Life is messy.
Uh-huh.
And how do you get back? How do you get back? It's not that you don't blame yourself if you fall out of your mood. Like this is practice. It's, it's like breathing. We do it all the time, but we don't do it well. If you're going to be a swimmer, runner, you're going to cycle, you're going to play an instrument, you better know how to breathe from your diaphragm. And it's all those pieces of the puzzle that go into making your day one of ease.
Well, you're right. I mean, and a lot of times we don't even think about that. I mean, I know that we wake up, at least I do, and I try to figure out what I'm gonna do that day and how I'm feeling at the time that I'm waking up. Right. Most of the time I wake up, I'm extremely happy because I got a beautiful wife that I'm laying next to, and she always keeps me calm. So, but I like what you said is figure out your mood before you even get out of bed. Billy Harper got the 90 seconds actually allow you to gather your thoughts, think of the positive things that will bring positive thoughts rather than reacting with a negative force. Mood controls is basically mind control. He hit it. He hit it out.
Well said. Well said.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think that you are right, and that's the first time I've heard that is that decide your move before you even get up out of bed, and that gives you something to work with.
That gives you something to work with during the day. And like I said, I think a lot of people that have gone through these practices choose one and stick with it. That's always been sort of my MO. It doesn't have to be that way at all. I mean, you could have some big event, and you may have a specific mood that you really need for that. So,
oh yeah, you know what? We're gonna take a station break, but I am thoroughly enjoying this conversation, and I am thoroughly learning. Tell you, you want to be part of the conversation. All you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, over 65 platforms, live, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. Remember, it's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
They struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and I tell you, Karen, you're knocking it out the park. You're knocking it out the park.
It's too much fun.
It is.
It.
You know what? That's what life should be. It should be all about fun. Not all. I mean, yes. I mean,
There's got to be some gratitude in
there. It is. You know, so this topic that we're talking about and coming directly out your book, I tell you what, before we forget, can you tell people where they can get your book at?
Oh, absolutely. Amazon.com. You can also go to upsetisoptional.com and you'll find more about my mentor and the book itself. There's a great video about how Bob taught these practices, and there's a treatment facility in Baltimore that he founded, and lots of interviews from there. So there's a lot of information on it, but yes, the book is on Amazon.
Wow. Hey, I got to bring my producer in here. Hey, Todd, you got to tell me, are you in this? Are you learning? Are you gathering things?
Definitely. And this is a show that you might, if you know somebody out there that's dealing with these kind of issues, you might want to send the show to them and just say, hey, give a listen, because a lot of good tips. And I know it is tough to stay calm all the time. I was wondering, what do you do if you're calm, but someone you're trying to communicate is screaming at you?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think that you're not responsible for anyone's actions, right? So there's nothing that you will be able to do or say that will probably change that. So I think your obligation and responsibility is to stay calm and true to yourself and let that infection come into your body. Because that's, I think, the piece that we miss about this is that when we're doing it ourselves personally, we are infecting the other person that's taking it in. And I think your obligation is to yourself on that one. You're not going to be successful trying to change something in a hot moment. That's just my view.
Good answer.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Michelle is on mute and she's trying to
I know.
talk.
I like that question. What do you do when someone's screaming at you? Because instantly, I mean, human nature, you're going to scream back. But I guess what I've learned, at least in my life, is to kind of just walk away, because it's never going to end positively, two people screaming at each other. You're going to get yourself upset, whether, you get a headache, you just get frustrated. And I look at it this way: you can't control what other people do, but you can control your reactions. Can you kind of comment on that, Karen?
Yeah, I mean, it is really all about you being able to manage yourself and the people, for the sake of the people around you. So if you've grown up in a household that's volatile, the safest thing for a kid in a situation like that is retreat. And probably the best defense mechanism in that regard. You can't compete with that kind of energy. So I think that extricating yourself from it, or finding ways to not get in it, finding conversations that are not going to be helpful. And if it is family related and you can have an opportunity to reframe, that would be great. But generally speaking, if you're in that hot moment, it's going to be really complicated. It's better to come back later and say, and express, like, can I have your listening? It's a really effective way to have a conversation, to ask the question, may I have your listening? By listening. And then people will first ask you what you're talking about. And then you'll be able to say, when you said X, Y, and Z, and I was deeply listening to that, this is what I heard. But in a moment, very hard to accomplish.
Wow, we got Steve Taylor here said, I learned in Celebrate Recovery and Anger Management to take the energy to something to clean. Then he also added, this allow you to see something positive with the negative energy. So I think you're absolutely right, Steve. So hey, but let's talk about you mentioned something about serving the 7 generations and its relevance to managing stress. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and I think that we live in a world where there's not a lot of acknowledgement. People don't acknowledge you necessarily for all the work they do, and we're kind of used to being, patted on the head and like, oh, good job kind of thing. But there's no true acknowledgement. And I think the thing I love about this philosophy of 7 generations is that, and it's rooted in Native American cultures. So it's basically, I live in 1 generation, and I'm going to do work to serve the 3 that came before me, and to honor the 3 that came before me, and to serve the 3 that are coming while I'm doing my best to do what I do in this middle. And as soon as I stray from that, it's a real godsend for me. If I go to, and I think it's in the book, if I go to work for a water bottling company because I see a really creative opportunity and I'm going to be CEO, make money, never works. Never works. But if I'm doing work like I do now, and I know that it is absolutely honoring all of the efforts that people have taken before I got on this planet, and hopefully will have implications for the generations I will never know because I'm in this one small space and time, I'm going to serve. And that's what keeps me true to who I am, what I want the world to be. And that's what keeps me sane when I know that I can't control what's going to happen in future generations.
Wow. What do you mean by what is the end result and honoring your past and being true to your future?
Well, I think, you're doing work that is of service. You're not literally going for the grind. And I know that it's difficult for some people to be able to do that when they're struggling to make ends meet. Like, how is my work going to be rewarding? But the reality is that you're not actually looking to reward yourself. You're looking to reward the people who have to come through this world behind us, or, after we're gone. And somebody got us to this place. And they worked really hard to get us to this place over the generations. And that's why I feel, especially when you see 7 grandmothers from 7 tribes drumming on the topic on the National Mall, you really feel it in your heart. So it's been a very powerful way for me to show gratitude and to do work that's meaningful.
Wow. Yes, because it's got to be meaningful. And just knowing where you come from and focusing not on yesterday, but focusing on today, but preparing for tomorrow. I didn't say we might not be there tomorrow. I said preparing for tomorrow. So, is it important to embrace the lessons and values passed down to you from past generations? And how does this alleviate a certain anxiety?
Well, there's a lot to be said about what you can and cannot control. And for somebody who has always been a doer and a go out and get it, and first time I ran for office, I was in 2nd grade. I wanted to be the first female speaker of the House of Representatives and got beat to it. Also knew I'd have to live in Springfield, Missouri the rest of my life. So that was not an option. But the reality is that is how I define myself in terms of, I really do believe that service takes all different kinds of forms and shapes. So if I am doing what I think, if I am just sitting in gratitude for the fact that 3 generations before me did what they did, and I just acknowledge that on a regular basis and recognize what I have today, that changes how I look at the world.
Wow, we're down to the last 2 minutes, but I got one more question. How can people who feel overwhelmed by life be reassured that their life matters?
That's a big question for 2 minutes. I think books have been written on that. I'm going to say, first, take care of yourself. Start breathing. Start paying attention to your body. Really understand what the implications of the things that are happening around you are causing physically. That will do more to save your headspace, heart, and physicality, and that of the people around you. They will reward you for that. That is a gift of love that you can give out to people. So that would be my first step in that one. And then I guess I should just recommend everybody go and buy the book Upset is Optional from Amazon.
I think that's a great idea that they go and buy the book because you have got certainly a lot of great information in the book. And actually, Michelle and I are going to buy the book. So we're looking forward to it. Karen, we're out of time. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's your life. You've been an absolutely wonderful guest. I'd like to thank
you. Have been amazing. I love your show. I love your energy, and I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity.
I'd like to thank Michelle Cooley for putting together another fantastic show. I'd like to thank Todd Pyrick, my producer in KCBQ Studios. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our audience. for tuning into the James Cooley Show. Always, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life.
The James Cooley Show. It's your
Ed Hanson's Muffler Service.